This special NBC5 News presentation is brought to you by Medford Mattress, Lippard's Carpet One, the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe, and Sherm's Markets.
This is a special edition of NBC5 News.
Good evening and welcome to a special edition of NBC5 News. I'm Craig Smullen.
And I'm Jenny King. Tonight we're looking back on 2023 and the stories that made headlines right here in Southern Oregon and Northern California.
We'll begin by breaking down some of our most memorable stories of the year. Derek Strom rounded up the stories that you viewed and shared the most on our digital platforms.
2023 kicked off with some great news. After more than 20 years on the street, a Medford resident who many of us know as Downtown Dan got his forever home. Dan is famous for walking all over the city and talking to pretty much everyone he sees. For the last 4 years, Dan had been living at rogue retreat facilities and working with case managers to find a place to live. Well, in February, that happened. Downtown Dan moved into his very own place. In June, more than 12,000 country music fans packed the Jackson County Expo for the 2023 Rogue Music Festival, headlined by Carrie Underwood and Eric Church. A total of 9 artists performed over 2 days in the festival's first year. And the Ring of Fire took the skies by storm in October as the moon passed in front of the sun, creating an annular solar eclipse. It creates a ring instead of a total blackout because the moon isn't close enough to the Earth to completely block it out. North Medford High School astronomy students were able to use high-end telescopes to capture the whole thing on film.
We all have the same sky. No matter where you are on Earth, you are going to see stars. No matter where you are, it's one thing that no matter what really connects people.
If you missed it this year, you'll get another chance to witness an eclipse event. That's coming up in April. 2023 also saw 2 Rogue Valley news staples shut down. In January, the Mail Tribune closed its doors after over a century of printing papers. Former editor Bob Hunter, who was there for 33 years, said as advertising became more difficult, resources for local reporters diminished, and that created a trickle-down effect. Hunter's real concerns, however, was how this would impact the local community.
I'm sad for the people who work there and sad for the community because they're losing jobs and the community's losing something that's going to be hard to replace.
Former owner Stephen Saslow called the business decision, quote, difficult, saying the closing of this institution would be a real loss for the entire Southern Oregon community. The Mail Tribune's last publication was on January 13th, just 4 months after it transitioned completely online and 1 year after shutting down its sister paper, Ashland Daily Tidings. Not long after, Sinclair-owned television station KTVL, which shared a building with the Mail Tribune, laid off its entire news department. In May, the station began running nationally syndicated programming instead of locally produced newscasts, which had been run in Medford for decades. KTVL was founded in 1961 and produced a number of award-winning journalists like Ann Curry and meteorologist Leon Hunsaker. A local family we've been following all year now has their very own home. Thanks to a partnership between Access and Bend-based company First Story, the Ayalas are first-time homeowners.
This was a surprise. I mean, we thought we were going to sit down and have a conversation, but we got surprised and we're just happy and grateful to have given this opportunity.
Jesus, Flor, and their 2 kids have lived in a White City mobile home for 10 years. Then in September, without having to put a down payment down on a zero-interest 30-year home loan, they moved into the Delta Estates community in Medford. The following month, the Grants Pass High School Band won the NWAPA Championships in Eugene. It was the 4th championship win in a row for the school. The theme of this year's show was Luminous, an intent to showcase that the band is greater than the sum of its parts. And luminous they were. Congrats to the GPSD band for once again coming out on top.
Derek, thanks. In business news in 2023, some local institutions saw their fair share of shakeups. The Oregon Shakespeare Festival entered a new era this year, beginning with Executive Director David Schmitz's resignation in January. Shortly after, the organization laid off 12 workers, furloughed 7 employees, and placed about 18 positions under a hiring freeze. That's a small part of the many changes the organization faced, all in an effort to restructure and improve finances following 3 tumultuous years with the pandemic and the Alameda fire. OSF launched a $2.5 million emergency fundraising campaign called The Show Must Go On, Save Our Season, Save OSF. Fortunately, OSF raised the money it needed to continue into the summer. Then in May, Artistic Director Nataki Garrett submitted her resignation after 4 years, saying she was grateful to have helped the organization navigate one of its most challenging times. Interim Executive Director Tyler Hokama, who took over in June, is now focusing on OSF's finances while the organization searches for Schmitz's permanent replacement. Then this fall, OSF brought in new Artistic Director Tim Bond. He's no stranger to OSF. From 1996 to 2007, he served as the nonprofit's Associate Artistic Director.
And OSF wasn't the only Ashland staple to make changes this year. In April, SOU board members adopted the university's financial realignment plan. This followed a series of town halls to get the university on stable, long-term financial footing. The realignment plan included the elimination of around 83 jobs, or 13% of the university's workforce. Many of them are positions that will not be filled, but about 24 people were laid off. With this plan, the university hopes to erase a projected $14 million deficit by 2026. NBC5 News broke the story this year that one of the world's biggest companies purchased land here in the Rogue Valley. Amazon bought 17 acres of land in Central Point near Costco for a future warehouse. According to Jackson County records, Amazon purchased the land off Table Rock and Airport Road for nearly $5.5 million. Amazon would not say what exactly the warehouse will be used for or how many jobs it will create, but it bears watching in 2024. The city says Amazon will be responsible for expanding some of the roads nearby and other improvements on the property.
Josephine County is working to sell the shuttered Flying Lark. That's the building built by Dutch Bros co-founder Travis Boersma to house a restaurant and historic horse racing machines. The State Racing Commission denied his application after the Oregon Department of Justice released an opinion in 2022 saying it would violate the Oregon Constitution and be an illegal casino. Boersma then dropped the plan, giving the fairgrounds property back to Josephine County in February. The 38,000 square foot facility hit the market for $14.9 million this fall. The Asante Foundation announced this fall that its 2023 Oregon Wine Experience was its last. In 9 years, it raised $12 million for healthcare programs. Asante's Chief Philanthropy Officer, Andrea Reed, says the cost of hosting the event had gone up due to inflation and a number of other factors. Some of Asante's partners were also hit hard by the pandemic and weren't able to donate as much to the foundation.
The Brit Festival Orchestra's 61st season wrapped up this summer with a big send-off for its musical director, Teddy Abrams. Abrams, along with being the music director of the Louisville Orchestra in Kentucky, has been flying to Jacksonville each summer to direct the Brit Orchestra for the past 10 years. He called the orchestra's historic 2016 performance at Crater Lake one of his favorite moments in Southern Oregon. Abrams opened his last performance for Brit fans with the overture of his next project, a musical about Muhammad Ali. And after years of waiting, Panera Bread finally opened a location in Medford this summer. The new restaurant, complete with a drive-thru, opened on the corner of Garfield and Highway 99 in August. It is currently the franchise's only location in Southern Oregon.
August 2023 marked our station's 70th anniversary on air. And if you were watching the Today Show on August 31st, you might have caught a birthday surprise we were all geeking out about. The Al Roker wishing us a very happy birthday. Check it out.
But we also want to give a shout out to our friends at KOBI-TV, NBC5 in Medford, Oregon. It is one of the few TV stations still family owned and operated. Wow. This month, they are celebrating 70 years on the air. So to Patsy Smullen and everyone at KOBI, happy birthday. Happy birthday. 30 more years and you're on the Smucker's jar, guys. Keep up the great work.
That's awesome. Congratulations to them.
All right, coming up on NBC5's Year in Review special, a story no one saw coming. How an NFL superstar shocked the world by visiting a Southern Oregon darkness retreat. When we come back.
Welcome back to NBC5's 2023 Year in Review special. Only on NBC5 News this August, an off-duty Medford firefighter saved 3 children from a burning house in Grants Pass. Manny Sharp was enjoying his day off when he saw black smoke rising near his home. Manny rushed way over to the neighbor's house in Sandals, where he saw a garage completely involved in flames. He kicked the door down to find 2 children sleeping and brought them to safety. The parents of the children arrived shortly after.
The mom was running in because she's like, my kids, and I was like, don't go in there, I got him out. And that's when she said there's a third one in there. And I was like, oh man. So then I was like, stay right here, your kids need you, I got this. So I ran back in.
Manny rescued the 3rd child from a back bedroom. While the family thanked him for his heroics, Manny told us he was just doing his job.
A real-life hero right there. A 9-year-old Roseburg area boy made an amazing prehistoric discovery while playing in his grandmother's backyard. NBC5's Nick Borden has the incredible and exclusive story that you made go viral back in May.
Last month, 9-year-old Jeremiah Longbreak was out in his grandmother's backyard in Winston. While playing in a small creek near the house, he saw something that caught his eye. At first, he thought it could be some kind of old plastic container. But after he brought it in to show his mom, he realized he had made an ancient discovery.
She posted it on Facebook, and she has some rock hounding friends, and like 12 or some people commented, it looks like a tooth. And some also said, it looks like a mammoth tooth.
Jeremiah's mom, Megan Johnson, who initially thought the object was a piece of petrified wood, was inspired by the Facebook comments and reached out to an archaeologist with the Museum of Cultural and Natural History in Eugene. She says the archaeologist confirmed that the object was a fragment of a tooth from a mammoth.
I was just absolutely shocked to find out that this was a mammoth tooth. It was absolutely mind-blowing.
Jeremiah's grandmother said the areas around the creek are no stranger to erosion. She says the tooth could have become dislodged somewhere upstream before landing in her backyard.
It definitely makes me wonder how many finds I could have stepped across in the 31 years that I explored that creek.
Jeremiah says he plans on keeping the tooth, but he might have more plans for this piece of history in the future.
I'm going to probably ask Mom if she can get a professional to come out here and take off a dime-sized piece and donate it to a museum so they can do further research.
Now to a local story that made national headlines in the sports world. Future NFL Hall of Famer quarterback Aaron Rodgers was in Southern Oregon early this year, wrapping up a darkness retreat. Sky Cave Retreats outside of Ashland offers retreats that last from 3 days to over a month in complete darkness. Besides daily check-ins to provide food, guests stay in a mostly soundproof cabin in complete darkness. Founder Scott Berman says the retreats allow guests to unplug from the world and get in touch with themselves on a deeper level.
We lost many people this year, so important to our local communities.
One of them is a track and field legend whose name will be remembered for centuries.
That's saying something. That's former Medford High School grad and Olympic gold medalist Dick Fosbury, who passed away in March. Fosbury, who also attended Oregon State, gained fame after winning gold in the 1968 Summer Olympics in Mexico City using his back first technique, which later came to be known as the Fosbury flop. Now that's the only method used by the world's top high jumpers. Dick Fosbury was 76 years old. Chuck Butler, who owned and operated a number of car dealerships in the Rogue Valley, passed away in the spring. Butler became the general manager of his first dealership in 1965 and founded Butler Ford in 1976. He owned 4 dealerships in Southern Oregon, and his dealerships represented 7 different brands before he sold them in 2021. Butler also served on several boards for various local organizations and supported a number of charities across the Rogue Valley.
Most importantly, he always loved talking about his kids and his grandkids, and it showed. He would light up like a Christmas tree when asked questions about his family.
Butler was also known for his work with the Boys and Girls Club of the Rogue Valley, the Brit Music Festival, and many others. He also sponsored free parking at the Jackson County Fair.
We also lost a local man whose support for arts in the Rogue Valley may be unparalleled. Jim Collier recently passed away in August. He gave large amounts of money to multiple local music and theater groups. That includes the Criterion Theater, which went on to name its facility, and even some events after Collier.
Jim has supported many organizations in the community through the course of the last many years. And I know that his absence will be felt keenly by all of us. He made things possible that wouldn't have been possible without him.
The Criterion dedicated the 2023-2024 season to Collier's memory. Collier also earned the nickname the Piano Man after donating a handful of pianos around the Rogue Valley. His donations to the Rogue Valley Chorale led the organization to hold an annual holiday concert in perpetuity. The nonprofit says our community is richer because of his generosity. And longtime Southern Oregon broadcaster Renard Mayuri passed away in November. Mayuri spent decades in local broadcast television. He ran Medford TV station KDRV in Medford, first as news director and then later as general manager. He also managed KPIC in Roseburg and KCBY in Coos Bay before doing his own consulting work. Outside of his professional life, Renard's family says he loves sailing and horseback riding. All of us at KOBI-TV, NBC5 extend our deepest sympathies to his family and friends.
And a well-known Rogue Valley businesswoman passed away this fall. Susie Penwell co-owned the popular South Medford flower shop Penny and Lulu and her family business Reader Fruit. She developed a love for flowers from her grandmother. Her experience in the business started nearly 60 years ago. Susie and her business partner at Penny and Lulu worked together for 3 decades. Before that, she ran Flowers by Susie. Also in October, KOBI-TV NBC5 tragically lost one of our own. A beloved longtime staff member, Skylar Lesliak, was an incredible digital content producer and technical director for us over his 16-year career. He will be sorely missed by his young family and everyone here in our building and the many lives he touched outside of it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our Year in Review special. I'm Craig Smullen.
And I'm Jenny King.
2023 may not have been as charged politically as next year promises to be, but this year was another busy one in our state's politics.
That's right. New Governor Tina Kotek was sworn into office in early January. The governor addressed a number of issues in her inaugural address, including the housing crisis and the growing homeless population. But her main message to the legislature was about coming together to make the state a better place. She signed an executive order for a statewide housing production target of 36,000 new homes a year. She also declared a homelessness state of emergency during her first day in office.
Oregon's politics wasn't without controversy this year. Secretary of State Shemia Fagan resigned in May. Secretary Fagan was under fire for her consultant work for a statewide marijuana dispensary chain. At the same time, her office was overseeing a state audit on cannabis regulation. The secretary said she was confident an ethics investigation would clear her, but soon after, she stepped down. Governor Kotek appointed LaVon Griffin-Valade to the role. She has said she won't seek re-election in 2024. And the political future of a group of Republican state senators is uncertain because of Measure 113. The state DOJ says the measure disqualifies lawmakers with 10 or more unexcused absences from running for re-election. Voters overwhelmingly passed it last year. Oregon's Supreme Court heard arguments this month on whether the lawmakers can run for re-election after their Senate walkout early this year. The GOP lawmakers say the bill's verbiage isn't clear. They say they should be able to run again, then after that term, they wouldn't be able to seek re-election. The state Supreme Court could rule on the case by spring.
Last month, a Harney County Circuit Court judge permanently blocked Oregon from enforcing gun control Measure 114, ruling it infringes in the constitutional right to bear arms. The judge ruled requiring a permit to buy a gun and ban on the sale and the transfer and manufacture of magazines holding more than 10 rounds violates the state's constitution. Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum vowed to appeal the ruling. A federal judge already determined that Measure 114 is constitutional at the federal level. Vastly improved drought conditions top our weather headlines for the year. Here's NBC5 Chief Meteorologist Matt Jordan with a wrap on our year in weather.
2023 and the year that was in weather. Overall, conditions for the Medford area slightly above normal. What we're looking at here is a temperature graph. Starting out the year, most months below average temperatures, just slightly above January, much cooler than what we normally see in February, March, and April. That was kind of our transition to hotter weather. You can see May, June, July, and August well above average for the temperatures for the month. We're trending that way as well October, November, and December, but the year as a whole just slightly above what we normally see for the year as we look at our temperatures. Precipitation, though, outside of a very wet September and a above normal March, it has been a fairly dry month compared to what we normally see. 79% of rainfall compared to what's normal for the year. Your average temperatures in the Klamath Basin, a little bit cooler, just very slightly cooler than average as we look at the year as a whole. And precipitation, still trending a little bit drier, but hopefully seeing more rainfall as we get towards the end of December. In terms of our drought conditions, a lot of improvement, especially compared to this time last year. Northern California out of drought conditions completely.
Thanks, Matt. We're about to wrap up our 2023 Year in Review special. Still to come, we're looking ahead to 2024 and something a lot of Rogue Valley residents have been looking forward to for years. Next.
Welcome back to our Year in Review special. As we put a bow on 2023, we're looking ahead to an exciting new year.
Let's begin our look at some of the exciting projects on the horizon with Medford's largest ever building. That's right. Pool fans, Rogue X is almost here. In late November, Medford Parks and Recs filled the pool with water. It took a whopping 550,000 gallons. This month, the city's been putting on the finishing details like buffing surfaces and installing furniture. Rogue X is officially scheduled to open January 6th.
The new Asante Rogue Regional Patient Pavilion is getting closer to completion, and it's expected to open in about a month. The 6-story patient pavilion will hold 64 critical care beds on the 3rd and 4th floors. That's a 45% increase in capacity. Asante says all the rooms will be bigger with new technology. The top 2 floors of the new building will care specifically for women, babies, and children. That's the Olsrud Family Women's and Children's Hospital. As we wrap 2023, we want to make sure to say thank you to you, our viewers, for inviting us into your home each and every night.
That's right, and we hope 2024 is a happy and healthy one for you and yours. Good night.
This special NBC5 News presentation was sponsored by Medford Mattress, Lippard's Carpet One, the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe, and Sherm's Markets.